right. Welcome everyone again to the third episode of the 41st Media Team podcast, or 41st MTP for short. Here we have our two fabulous guests from episode 1, Sergeant Major Engie and CTV Hog, right?
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure I don't know why I always mess up with the CTV. But yes, and we have two hosts. We have Killer.
Actually, we're guests.
Yeah, you got it the wrong way around there.
Oh. My man,
Time to restart.
No.
Wait, so what he meant by that is Engie and Hog were the hosts from episode 1, and the
Yes.
two people were now the guests.
Yes.
Yes,
My mind's a
and
little
so-
everywhere nowadays.
You wanna run the introductions back then?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's whatever.
Everything is
Well,
fine.
I can
Yeah.
introduce us. I am acting Sergeant Killer, and then Fault. You can introduce yourself because I don't care.
I'm Lieutenant Fault.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I am Staff Sergeant Bear CT7850.
Oh.
And then if y'all want, you can also say your CT numbers.
I would actually like to keep that knowledge privy to myself, in case I get convicted for war crimes from this podcast.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, I see. Well, if no one else wants to say their CT numbers, then we can just go right into this episode's topics.
Let's go.
All right. Now, like I said in episode 2 about adding in this topic, just because why not, for the funny ha-has and everything, who has the better Riz? Plo Koon, Darth Revan, or Kiadi Mundi?
It's Plo Koon. It's
Plo
just
Koon all the way.
100%
It's
Plo Koon.
yeah, it's debatable between Kiadi and Plo, but it's Plo Koon.
It's Plo Koon.
Plo actually cared about his people though.
Not only
Kiadi
that,
Mundi just like screw you, we're killing all of you.
yeah.
Yeah, but he
Plo
also
Koon
got like how many women?
5. He has like 5
Like
wives.
20 kids.
That's like because he had
Yeah.
to revive his species, not because he
Not-
actually cared.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Fair enough.
Sure, Kiadi Mundi had like 5 wives who he didn't love and didn't say anything when they died, but actually, Plo Koon was so beloved by every member of the Wolf Pack, or the 104, his clone troopers, that they were the only clones, like they had the only clones who openly spoke about their feelings about killing their general, and also they painted.
Plo's bros
painting
gunship.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Plo's bros and the gunship. Let's go. Fault, or not Fault. Plo Koon has the most Riz, 100%.
Thank you for
Fair
the
enough.
compliment, Killer.
Fault, you have no Riz. Plo Koon has the Riz.
Yeah, there's really no debate there. I mean, Plo Koon is Plo Koon, and Kiadi Mundi is just, yeah.
Amazing
Forehead.
how
That's all he is.
Amazing how nobody has said anything about Darth Revan, because I know in the last episode, chatter is like, "Oh, Darth Revan is like the Grand Riz Master."
It's that Darth Revan has
Okay,
zero
okay,
Riz.
so if we're-
We
Revan's
don't
got
know
no
anything
Riz.
about Revan.
Revan's got no Riz. Plo Koon sucked it all out of his ass.
Okay, so if we're
What?
expanding, beyond the scope of the question, beyond just Kiadi Mundi or Plo Koon, I'd have to give Rizzler over to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Because think about it. He got 2 Mandalorian women, an Imperial officer, and another Jedi Knight, and God knows how many others. So I'd have to give it to him.
Or you could make the argument that Anakin openly said that he murdered a bunch of children and women and still got the girl.
That's just Padme ignoring red flag after
Yeah,
red flag. Like I said in the
yeah.
last episode, Hog.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
That ain't Riz.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
just
just
her.
genocide.
That's just her blatantly just ignoring all red flags. That I have to agree with Engie. I don't think that has to do anything with Riz.
Fair enough.
That is blatantly ignoring the universe tell you, hey,
You know
run.
what? You know what? Actually, I don't think Anakin is the Riz King, but but he does have some good things that point to him having Riz. Not the whole thing with Padme, but the fact that him and Obi-Wan constantly, talked to the Sith. But I definitely think that Anakin got the better Sith to flirt with, being Asajj Ventress, 100%. But also, think about the Lady of the Light, whatever she is, the sister. Yeah, the sister. She was willing to die for him. That's, if you can get the embodiment of the light side of the Force to die for you, you've got some S tier level Riz.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean,
He just had potential.
Yeah, exactly. That was more because like he was quote unquote the chosen one, and that like he's the one to restore balance. I'm not really sure that's really Riz and stuff.
I think it's Riz.
It's not Riz.
Also, to be completely honest, Asajj Ventress did not flirt with Anakin. She had that whole thing going on with Obi-Wan through the entirety of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
No.
Also,
Anakin,
Ventress was the one who gave him his scar in the first place. I don't think he's trying to Riz her up. I think he's trying to kill her.
Yeah. And then plus, I feel like Asajj Ventress and Obi-Wan Kenobi, they had way more chemistry, and they have worked together before, I'm pretty sure, in like a situation or two. So like, actually, yeah, they definitely did work together because they both fought off Darth Maul and Savage, and they worked really well together.
No,
Okay.
I definitely agree. Obi-Wan has more Riz than him, but
So what does that make Obi-Wan's body count through the Clone Wars alone? Two Mandalorian women, one of whom was the Duchess of Mandalore, so he could have been royalty. Jedi Knight Siri Tachi, potentially Jedi Master Adi Gallia, Asajj Ventress, and then if we go to the Obi-Wan show, the Imperial Officer Tala. So, dude's already got a bigger body count than Anakin.
Yeah, that is true. Though I will say that Anakin did have some pretty nice Riz when trying to get with Padme, because I mean, like, she was the queen of Naboo and everything, and then later she became a senator. So either way, like, that, especially since she wasn't even like really into it at first, eventually she fell in love with him, even to the point where she even blatantly is like, I'll stay with you no matter what, basically.
I think Padme is just schizophrenic.
Probably.
Looking past that many red flags takes a mental illness amount of
issues.
of eyesight.
Yeah, I'd say like she hit her head or something during the Battle of Naboo, or further down the line. That's the only way they could explain that many red flags being ignored.
Or it was Geonosis, maybe?
Or when she got
Or
thrown out of the
could have been
gunship.
Geonosis,
Thrown out of
actually.
the gunship. on
Yeah,
Geonosis.
Oh, actually.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Well, they got married before. No, wait, no, they got married
they
after.
got married
so-
after that.
Yeah, they got married after.
Ooh, so maybe
They got married
maybe
like
what-
right after that.
Mm-hmm.
PTSD.
Maybe she,
from
when she
tied
got
to a
thrown out of the
pole.
gunship, she hit the clone on the way down and just kind of like.
Yeah, that would explain a lot of the things she did.
Oh my god.
Hey, it would explain a lot.
I guess it would. All right. Well.
Untreated head wounds.
Yeah.
Lovely.
All right. So I guess out of the three people that are in the actual question, everyone says it's Plo. And then if we were to expand beyond that, it seems like people are going towards Obi, which I mean it makes sense. The man definitely has a bunch of Riz.
Actually,
That guy would raise me up.
I actually have to contest it being Obi-Wan.
Really?
I think it has to go to, Jango Fett? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Jango Fett.
What?
Yeah.
Why
What?
Django Fett?
Really?
He got his head chopped off.
Yeah, that's not really Rizzy. That's
consider
just
this-
dead.
No. Consider this. He had roughly 27 million children.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
a fucking
No.
test
That's
tube.
copying. That is copying. That is not
had-
Riz.
That's
He had-
different.
That is
no.
not Riz.
That's infinite Riz.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
He was
not.
he was literally paid to do it. He was literally paid to give up a DNA sample of his genome. There is no Riz involved.
It's not like
So-
he had
so you're
sex 27 million times.
So you're telling me
27
that
million
jerking
children.
into a test tube is the equivalent to Obi-Wan's Riz?
No.
Not even
no,
that. I
it's
think
more
they
than
took a
that.
sample
No,
from his like
no,
skin or
no.
something.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
being-
it could be as simple as like a blood sample or something.
Being such a Riz master that you were paid by the biggest government in the universe and by the best cloners in the universe to have your DNA made into 27 million children, that's some Riz.
No,
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
can't-
not.
It is. It just is.
That is
No.
not. No, that does not work.
No,
it does not
it
work
doesn't-
like
It
that.
just is not.
Not even understand. You obviously just don't have Riz. I get it.
I think you're brain dead.
Oh,
He spent a little too long incubating.
Wow. I'm a guest. I can't believe you would say that to me. That's.
I'll do it again.
Maybe you would say that to me.
I'm pretty sure worst has been said in the past 2 episodes.
Exactly.
In the past week, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure worse things are going to be said in this session alone.
I wouldn't be
Probably.
surprised. I wouldn't be
Probably.
surprised. Anyways, let us move on to the next topic, which is what if the Jedi Order allowed relationships and how it could have changed the course of Star Wars?
I
Would have
think that would be a pretty fundamental
babies.
change.
It would have
Oh, yeah.
completely changed the course of the Clone Wars and the originals. Because consider the fact that the only reason the Republic really fell was because they stopped paying attention to people because the Jedi got too focused on the war. Would have been fixed if they were more focused on people trying to protect, which would have been fixed if they had people to care and love about. Also, Anakin, who got pushed away because everyone he loved kept getting taken from him because he wasn't there to protect them.
We could have confirmation of who Force
Exactly.
Priest's parents are.
I really think that if relationships were allowed, the Jedi Order would have focused more on the people, and they wouldn't have gotten too involved, and it would have stopped the war. It would have made more room for peace talks. It would have just stopped the war. I really think could have ended with peace.
If the Jedi Order had allowed for relationships, you would have had Anakin publicly marrying Padme. You would have had Obi-Wan going over and marrying Satine on Mandalore, which means
Or-
now you tie the entire Mandalorian system to the Jedi Order.
hmm
Or think about he might have been with Siri earlier than that.
Or he might have been. Well, it depends on when they allowed relationships. Because are we talking they allowed relationships when he was still a Padawan? Because if we're going with that logic, then yes, most likely he would have been with Siri. But if they allowed it as an adult, she's already
As
dead.
The Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
I definitely think that he loved Syria. I don't think he would have married her. I think they were too young. I think when they were Padawans, because of the fact that they were both pretty open-headed, level people. They were pretty smart people. They would have realized this isn't the time to decide who I'm going to marry for the rest of my life. I genuinely think what would have happened is they would have kept as a thing and then split apart at some point in the Clone Wars. Maybe when Obi-Wan met Satine, I think is what would have happened.
Yeah, I could see that. Kind of like they kind of experiment a little bit, kind of have a semi-serious relationship, but once Obi-Wan finds Satine, it's kind of like, all right, this is the end now. Now he's found more his permanent girl to call his own.
You don't marry your first girlfriend.
Yep. Well, some people do, but
That usually doesn't end well,
it depends on the person.
I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I said usually.
But no, if the Jedi Order had allowed relationships, yeah, Palpatine wouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah. It would have fundamentally changed the Republic because a big part of why, there's a lot of reasons why no one detected Palpatine's plans. because had all these backup things to hide it, and he was lying. And, he built it on a old Sith temple, and lying and all that. But the other big part of it was just that the Republic was kind of like the Sith or the Jedi were mad. They were being pushed away from everything the Old Republic stood for, the people. They were focusing on the war and the military and hating their enemy rather than protecting the people and their loved ones and the Republic that they stand for.
Well,
Because
speaking of
what did
things,
Keep talking, Fault.
speaking of things that would like fundamentally change the course of Star Wars, what if they'd chosen to go with the original idea of like not having an inhibitor chip thing, and the clones just did it because they did? Like, do you think that would have more of an effect on all of Star Wars than the Jedi having relationships? Or
Actually, yes, I think that would have a much bigger effect because, sure, there was definitely some legions that would just instantly go along with it. I definitely
Like
think
Krell's Legion?
91st?
Yeah,
212,
91st.
91st, the 104, or not the 104.
Did you say 212?
Yeah, 212 would
No.
go along with it instantly.
Oh,
Cody wouldn't.
100.
Cody wouldn't. The rest of the 212 would instantly.
No, they wouldn't have.
They would not kill Obi-Wan. You're brain dead.
No, they wouldn't have. What was Kiadi Mundi's Legion?
21st.
The 90.
They-
Oh yeah, they would
hate
execute.
him.
They without the
No,
chip,
he had
they would have
the
executed him in a
91st
heartbeat.
and the 21st.
No,
would have.
he had the 21st.
Who was the
Yes.
91st then?
Nay,
The 91st was with Neo, and they had a girl that looked kind of like Adi Gallia.
Stas Ali.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I definitely.
don't think they
both
would
of
have
them
killed her.
But I also definitely think that the 212th would, because 212th were always by the book, follow their leader no matter what, or not, and
No,
they
but-
would have seen the Emperor as their leader in that moment. And
They
I think
hesitated though.
they didn't hesitate that much, not anywhere nearly as enough as other legions. And
Well, the 327th just instantly did it. Just kept shooting, like long after she was dead.
the 227th are Giga Chads.
Yeah, the Star Corps just
Oh.
executed her later out. But I don't think that the 212th. I don't think that the 212th would have done it, because if we're going by the logic that they are a by the books Legion, in the beginning of the Clone Wars they certainly were. Like Cody was very much by the books, but by the end of the Clone Wars he was already starting to have his doubts. He even defected further down the line in the Bad Batch. He cut and ran once he realized enough was enough. So I don't think that the 212th would have executed Obi-Wan. I think that perhaps
I think
someone might have considered it, but I don't think they would have done it.
I think it would start a civil, not a war, but like a fight in a majority of the 212th, because they think like maybe like half the Legion or so would just go along with saying, yeah, I mean, if they've turned into a Sith, okay, and some would definitely question it, and I think some would definitely fight to protect Obi-Wan. But at some point, I think at least a couple clones of the 212th, because of the way they are, would definitely start to fight Obi-Wan. Probably get killed, or arrested or whatever. I think in the end they wouldn't be able to kill him, but I definitely think a couple of them would try. At least a decent chunk of the Legion.
I think their work, like with the 501st and Anakin, would definitely be largely responsible for them changing in that way throughout the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I definitely think most of the veterans wouldn't do it, but I think a lot of the new people that 212th got near the end of the war would.
Well, maybe that would
Well, yeah,
Oh,
that's because they're
change
new.
like their interactions, like with the 501st. Like maybe they wouldn't have ended up working together as much if that was like the way it is, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, I think maybe the people who would do it the most is I feel like okay. So So obviously,
The Nova Corps would be the first people to do it.
91st, 21st Nova Corps, and the Star Corps all immediately kill their Jedi, no hesitation, immediately do it. All right, and then let's say after that, they get together to go kill the Jedi and the legions that didn't kill their Jedi. I feel like there would be a massive galactic civil war between the 104th, the 51st, and the 212th versus the 41st, because they didn't give a single shit. 21st, 91st, and the Star Corps.
What is the 51st?
What's the
The
CIS doing the
501st,
whole
you
time
mean?
if that happens?
Taking advantage of the situation and bombing Republic worlds.
The CIS
Fair
is just
enough.
kind of sitting back and scratching their heads like, what the hell is going on here?
Grievous would immediately see, oh shit, they're fighting. Let me go bomb their worlds.
Grievous
Yeah, he would
allies
totally take
21st.
Dude.
advantage.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the 41st and the would definitely also kill their people instantly. Like we didn't give two craps about Yoda.
I think another one that wouldn't have done it would have been Depa Bibala's Legion. What was their designation again? I can never remember. Deepa? I don't know how to say her name. Okay, beats me.
Actually, no. I feel like the
Oh,
Star
okay.
Actually, I don't know if the Star Corps would. I don't think they would do it instantly because Star Corps were just filled with grizzled veterans. Like the Star Corps lore is that they were
Oh
at
yeah, that's true.
5 of the 7 most horrific, grueling, horrible battlefields in all of the Republic, in the entire war. They were there every single one. So they had some of the strongest clones, some of the oldest veterans, which definitely did two things: enforced their loyalty to the Republic, but also made them more of free thinkers. They
Who is
had
this?
the Star Corps. Star Corps had the most.
Ayla Sakura's unit.
They had the most ARC troopers out of every legion by a decent margin. They had by the end or by Felucia, they had like 3 more than Second Legion. They had so many ARC troopers. And I definitely think Coruscant Guard instantly, dude.
What are they going to
I would
do? They have a
say
Jedi?
Fox
They're
killed
throwing
5s.
hands.
They would do it, man.
okay.
Actually,
So
no,
I would have to argue. I'd have to argue that it wouldn't be the entire guard because
I think it'd be a
I
civil
think
war.
I think
it would be.
think
It
like-
would be.
I think
the
the
guard
shock
would be
troops
very
are, like,
divided.
I think the shock troops, the people that Thorn led, like people that Thorn led and trained, they would take a defensive position to defend the Jedi Temple. I think they'd work with the Jedi to defend the Jedi Temple from the rest of the Coruscant Guard. But the security people that Fox led, would be immediately sieging it, and Pawns people would probably split up between them. Honestly,
Well, but I think
Pawns,
you
you
really
mean
have to
Stone?
think. I think
Yes,
you really
Stone,
have to think about
'Cause
but,
Pawns
like,
is
why
dead.
they killed 5s.
yeah, I'm talking about start. Yeah, Stone's people.
And Pons was in the 187th.
Yeah.
But like if they didn't have
Stone,
anything
Jack,
like
and
the
Reese.
Who?
So remember from the sorry to interrupt, Fault. But remember from the very first episode of the Clone Wars, the 3 Coruscanti Guard troopers that were with Yoda, Commander Stone, Jack, and Reese. They would not have gone with Order 66 because Yoda saved their lives. Like he could have easily just thrown them into the line of fire and then escaped himself, but instead he took the time to save their lives.
He also
So I
taught
think
them-
them and any Coruscanti Guard that they trained would have gone and defended the Jedi Temple alongside Thorn and his men.
I definitely now I feel like people might say that Thorn would do it because of how they were loyal to the Republic, but he was loyal to his men. Honestly, I definitely think Thorn, out of all clones, was more loyal to his clones than the Republic or his Jedi, because he didn't have a Jedi. He was very, very stupidly loyal to his clones.
Mhm.
I think he would have gone along with what his men were doing and his fellow commanders. Well, he would be dead at this point, but I definitely think the lessons he had passed down onto his men would stay there, of him, of them going to help the people who've helped them, which would be the Jedi.
I don't
Mhm.
think 5s
100%.
being killed would be particularly relevant anymore in the situation because the discovery of the inhibitor chips
Fives
was
would have never died. Fives would have never died
responsible.
because the
Yeah, he would still be in the 501st.
That they wouldn't.
no, without the inhibitor chips, Tups would have never gone crazy and killed the Jedi. He would have never been imprisoned. Fives would have never started looking into it. He would have never gone crazy into it. Fives.
I think-
So that
Fives-
means Fives would have still been alive.
Yeah, Fives would still be alive.
I forgot
I-
about that part, I'll be honest.
I think all of the Coruscant Guard would be defending the Jedi Temple because they're.
Because
Not all
I mean, their
of them.
loyalty is to the
No,
Republic
Fox's
before
men
anything
would
else.
not.
Fox is because Fox was the Emperor's personal.
Yeah.
If their loyalty is to the Republic, then their loyalty is to the Chancellor.
hmm
Chancellor.
Well,
Fox
yes,
was
but
essentially the Chancellor's hitman.
He was his little hound.
like,
Mhm.
we don't really know what they would do if, like, Palpatine made a decision that was clearly, like, dangerous for the Republic. Like, what would they have done in that situation?
I think. Oh, wait, actually.
So that's a whole nother thought. That's a whole nother topic or a whole nother question entirely.
So consider this, all right? So let's assume that just for the thought experiment of it, let's say every like major leader of the Coruscant Guard is still alive and still training their own
Mhm.
sections, because having Thor in this equation makes it a whole lot more fun. I think we can all agree on that. So Thorn was training mostly the diplomatic corps who were going out with ambassadors and those to help, protect them. That's why he was Padme. And I think they would 100% go along with the Jedi, help defend the temple, take defend against the police, whatever. And then I think,
Yeah, because they've seen what's going on throughout, like, way more of the Republic than
the rest
those
of
the
course,
Coruscant Guard who, like, stay behind on just, like, only Coruscant.
100%. I think what it would genuinely be is it would be a battle between the Jedi and Thorn's men versus all the people that Fox trained, which is a majority of the Coruscant Guard being a majority like the defense troops. I think that would actually be a very, very sick fight to see.
So more of the Coruscanti Guard, like the Home Legion, which was a legion that defended Coruscant, versus the diplomatic security clones who traveled out with the ambassadors and with the senators,
As well as the Jedi, because I definitely think the Jedi.
as well as the Jedi. Yeah.
And then I think
Okay.
I feel like it would be
Cool.
pretty even because, dude, consider the resources the Coruscant Guard had. Gunships, they had Venators over Coruscant that they had control over. They had
Riot troopers.
ATPs, artillery, riot troopers, the entire police force, hounds,
Space
secret
dogs,
agents,
yeah.
all of these things. The diplomatic corps had a total of like 100 guys in that, which is compared to the Coruscant Guards, probably thousands. Not much, but there's also the Jedi. So I think what it would really be is a defensive holdout until another support legion can come in, and at that point, it's which legion gets there first. Is it the 41st, 91st, or 21st who's gonna come help them push into the Jedi Temple and kill them, or is it gonna be the 501st, 212th, or Star Corps, or any of those ones who are going to help fight back and like ambush the attackers?
Okay, so going on further along that line of thought, what if the Grand Inquisitor had not betrayed his fellow Temple Guards? And what if he was still fighting on the side of the light? Because the only reason we didn't see any Temple Guards in Revenge of the Sith was because the Grand Inquisitor basically called them all to their barracks and then slaughtered all of them pre-Operation Nightfall.
Well, the
And-
Temple Guard are very, very powerful.
True.
That's
Well,
true. They're
Exactly.
very highly trained.
The Temple Guard is a mixed bag. The Temple Guard is a bunch of Jedi from every rank that's just kind of thrown together. So there's definitely some Temple Guard who would be absolute Giga Chads, just ripping clones in half, and there's some who were fresh knights who would just get shot instantly.
Actually, I believe as a condition to be a Temple Guard, you had to be like a certain rank, 'cause I think it was knights or higher, or I think you had to be a certain number of years. Like you had to have experience. You couldn't join the Temple Guard fresh.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was
Jedi
definitely
Knights pulled from the ranks to become anonymous sentinels as part of their lifelong commitment to the Order.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
consider this: a lot of those Temple Guard probably, or not a lot, but a decent chunk would probably be fresh. And you saw what happened to 99% of the Jedi in the Temple when the 501st stormed in. And because of the
Well-
way Fox is, I definitely think he would have waited for support. Imagine if it wasn't just so it wouldn't just be the Coruscant Guard. It would probably be the Coruscant Guard and another Legion, or they're just not going in at all.
I feel like, especially Operation Nightfall, it's very much a quantity over quality. Because I think on their own, your individual Jedi Knight could probably take down a squad of clones.
Yeah.
But if you have 3, 4, 5 all pressing in at the same time, then that one knight is screwed. Same with the Jedi Master.
There weren't that many
Jedi
Jedi
Master
there,
could probably. True, they were all scattered across the galaxy as well.
And
Which was-
especially consider if the
More of the council had been at home.
not only that, yeah, that works, but imagine if they didn't just go in with troopers, if they just said, we don't really care what's in the databanks, because remember, one of their missions, destroy the archives. What if they just said, ha 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 ha, HETE, mass driver cannons, blow it down?
I believe the
Where are you gonna
temple
put them?
had an orbital. I believe the temple had a full-on
Temple?
orbital defense shield. Temple, yes.
Orbital defense, that was for the whole planet. The planet had orbital defense shielding. I don't think those were too effective against planet-side weaponry.
Fair enough.
Like the mass
Yeah, I don't-
driver cannon of Mach
I
11.
feel like the head of security for the Jedi Temple would not have allowed, like, weak Jedi to be Temple Guard. Like,
Yeah, probably.
No, Sindralik definitely would have not.
Yeah,
Because
Not
he
a
was the
chance,
Order's
no.
battle master. He was the Order's battle master. He was in charge of vetting and recruiting the Temple Guard. Kind of fell short there with the Grand Inquisitor, but for the rest of them, like, he would not have let anybody who couldn't handle themselves in a fight be a Temple Guard.
Oh, the Grand Inquisitor could handle himself, but I think his
And
doubts
more
were
than
kind of
just
quiet.
himself.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he could definitely handle himself, that's for sure. And he handled all the others in the process.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that would make sense if he's like the head of the guard. Essentially, I feel like there'd have to be a reason for you to have been like one of the highest ranks of them, right? Like, you wouldn't just get it for no reason.
Mm.
Yeah, and like I would say that the reason why that like a lot of the Jedi that were there, like the reason why they were killed off like fairly, I guess you can say easily and stuff, is mainly because like one, the 501st had the element of surprise, and then like how Engie said, you know, it's an entire legion against, you know, whatever Jedi just happens to be in the temple, and then 3, you know, a lot of the Jedi who like typically stay in the temple, who like are not deployed in the field, like how other Jedi, like, you know, Anakin and Obi-Wan and stuff, like they're not as, you know, adverse in combat and stuff. They don't have as much combat training or anything like that or experience. They want to try and like conserve as many Jedi as they can, considering since they lost so many in the Battle of Geonosis, and as well as, you know, there's only so many clones that they can make for entire legions and stuff, so, you know, they can only assign so many Jedi out, and as well as the main, you know, group that is supposed to actually protect the temple are the temple guards, but, you know, they got all slaughtered and everything, and so I don't know, I feel like it, you know, it makes sense that they wouldn't be able to really defend themselves as effectively as they could have if they had known what was going to happen and if the temple guard had been there. So I feel like things would have been so much more different.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's the thing. All right, if the inhibitor ships were never a plan, Sidious isn't dumb. He'd have another way to make sure his plans worked. Whether that's, you know,
What else could you do beyond, like, what else could you do apart from inhibitor chips to make
train
people
them
just
to be even
blindly
more
follow
obedient
you
than
like
they
that?
were.
Well,
And I don't think they need to blindly follow him. I
Well,
just
yes,
think
but
they
with-
need to follow-
But with the Jedi being all, like with the clones being all over the galaxy, like all the time, it would be really hard to maintain that level of control over them, given how many like different people they'd be exposed to and things like that.
Absolutely, but
Mhm.
well, yeah.
And
Another thing
then-
is, it's a known fact that the inhibitor chips were a big part of what made, like, sure, they were, you know, bred and raised for obedience, but also the inhibitor chips is another thing that made them more obedient, just like to rules and order. Like,
There's those RCs too.
Wasn't there that one Null who had a kid with a Jedi Knight? Or a
Null
Yeah,
arcs
Padawan?
were different.
they're
Null arcs
nulls
were just
though,
built
so like
different. Still, there was like 5 just normal clone troopers.
Null arcs were intentionally like
super
like they were
independent.
definitely made to be even more independent than like other members of clone special forces. Like
They were the most independent because they were like almost completely unmodified.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Here's another thing: is imagine if so like, obviously they would be less obedient. What would have happened on what's the one really dark shadow planet with Punkro?
Umbara.
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 Like Umbara, the situations like that would have been completely different. Or not like placed on Umbara, like Ryloth, where they probably would have been even more empathetic and just changed their tactics entirely, and where they're not following orders and they're more caring about the populaces, they would do things to protect the people more.
on the 41st one, they never gave a shit about anything that lived on Kashyyyk.
Absolutely, and that's why we're the best, baby. Screw the local populace.
And another thing is that, like, you know, I feel like without the inhibitor chips being a plan, none of the clones would have been made, because that was the entire idea, you know, because then there wouldn't be any reason for Palpatine to have a clone army be built if the inhibitor chips wasn't a thing, if there was no way for all these legions of clones to follow him willingly and with all this loyalty.
Well, even without the inhibitor chips, though, like the plan for clones or some kind of army like that was like a long-standing idea.
Yeah, it probably would have just been like a droid army or some other type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Or like a
something he could
cheaper clone
control.
army or
You know what?
something like that.
Actually, no. Yeah, that's a good point. Because if without inhibitor chips, he needed another way to kill them. There was a stupid amount of droids by the end of the Clone Wars. Let me look it up real quick.
I think it was in like the trillions.
No, it was in the
Yeah, but
quintillions.
Oh,
What if they could have made like a combined force army, maybe?
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, a droid factory, a droid doesn't need to be grown up and raised. Once it's off the assembly line, it's good to go.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the whole point of like the clone army was for the betrayal, the element of surprise of the betrayal. That was like the biggest thing, and like he couldn't exactly really do that without the inhibitor chips, because like how everyone here has been saying, without it, all the clone, you know, there would have been like a lot of fighting within the clone legions, you know, some who would do it without question, and some that would you know, hesitate or even like be like, no, this is wrong, and then there'd be a civil war right off the bat instead of having control almost immediately, like how it went off, and then having a rebellion like 20 plus years later. You know, it would have been much harder for Palpatine to be in control of the galaxy without the inhibitor chips and everything. And yeah, a droid army could have worked, because like, yeah, the vast amount of numbers. However, I think that the reason why Palpatine didn't go with that is because you know, he has a lot of knowledge about the Old Republic and all the wars that's gone over there, because I know the Sith Empire would also employ plenty of droids as well as armies alongside with other Sith acolytes and the like and everything. And so I feel like, you know, he said like, oh, it's good, but that's not going to be the way I win this.
I don't think that was why. No, I don't think that was why. Consider, okay, there was, by the end of the Clone Wars, there were quintillions of battle droids. Even just one quintillion wipes every Jedi, every Republic trooper, every police force, every local planetary army. Doesn't matter. You're not beating even one quintillion, let alone tens of quintillions. 1 quintillion droids is such an unbelievable amount. Nothing is ever beating that. And the issue with that, the reason he didn't use them is because he didn't want his people to lose the war. He wanted his people to see the Jedi were bad, and once they were removed and the new Empire was in place, we won the war. That's wow. That's what I want people to believe. If he didn't have inhibitor chips and he needed to win the war, he could have won using his
Inhibitor chips?
Inhibitor.
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 Jibidibidoo.
But he could have just used the droids to wipe out any resistance. That's why the inhibitor chips are just there so he could show the populace that he won them the war. When in reality,
I
war.
believe the other purpose for using clone troopers versus droids, it was also kind of a propaganda piece once the war ended, because it's like, hey, the Jedi who claim to care about all life in the galaxy were perfectly fine with using essentially a slave army.
And
So,
also
yeah.
to promote humans are the best. Who won this war? A couple
Humans.
million humans. Who didn't help in the war? Twi'leks.
The droids.
Everything else that's not a human.
Mm-hmm. That too. That too.
I think without inhibitor chips, he wouldn't have used the clones to kill the Jedi. He would have just slaughtered them with an infinite amount of droids.
Mm-hmm.
And unlimited power.
Unlimited power!
Okay,
Unlimited
I feel
Oh.
like we've answered this, at least the original question, pretty well.
The original question is Jedi Order with
Allowed
relationships.
and we're on
We derailed so hard.
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
we established that would be a pretty significant
Oh
change,
yeah,
though.
Yeah,
We just kept following the rabbit hole.
yeah, we did.
Now-
Actually,
now-
no, it's
alright,
interesting because I was gonna bring up a completely other train of thought that would have derailed us even more, considering the clones and the inhibitor chips.
I feel like it's a pretty meaningful departure
Don't
from
do
the
it.
original question, though. Like,
Oh, definitely. Though,
Oh,
okay, I want
100%.
to bring us back to the question real quick because I have a small thing I want to talk about. So, obviously, if they allowed relationships,
mhm.
who would have? So obviously, Obi-Wan, the first girlfriend he met when he was a Padawan. We agreed they probably wouldn't have stuck together. What do you fucked Asajj Ventress before meeting the Queen or
The
meeting
Duchess.
The Duchess, yeah.
I'm doubtful.
I mean, did he meet her while she was still a fellow Jedi? Or did he meet
Actually,
her
Ahsoka was
post?
never a Jedi.
Asajj
Not
Ventress
Ahsoka,
was a
not
Jedi.
Ventress was never a Jedi.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she
She was a
was.
Padawan. She
No.
was the Padawan of Jedi Master Kai Narek
Mm-hmm.
on
What?
Ricotta?
Okay, I guess I'm.
That's
Ricotta.
real and
Yeah, okay.
true.
Okay,
Yeah.
So okay, real quick. Is the
Right.
2003 series no longer canon? Wait, was it ever canon?
It's not
No,
canon
it's
over
not canon.
2008 anymore.
Oh, that's
2008 is
No.
canon.
It
Mhm.
was canon up until 2008 came out. Then it became non-canon.
Yeah. And so the
Which I really
current-
don't like, because I
Because
really like
2008
Mace
Clone
Windu
Wars kicked ass.
beating the shit out of everything.
I still think 2003 Clone Wars Solos 2008. It's just so much better.
Mace Windu just absolutely bodying entire legions of droids with nothing but his fists.
Mike Tyson.
Bro would have killed 1 trillion droids if he could. And
He
then
did.
he died.
Bro,
Bro
actually,
would have won the war single-handedly.
actually,
Quite
no,
literally.
no, he wouldn't have won the war. I feel like, dude,
The Windu
2003
Wars.
Grievous, 2003 Grievous kills anyone in the Star Wars universe. I don't care who it is. You could throw him up against Prime
You're a
Vader.
simp.
You
You're
could
wrong.
throw- I'm
You're a
Objectively
simp for him.
incorrect opinion.
2003 Grievous, 1v6 the Jedi Knights, and a 5 Jedi Knights and a Jedi Master, and he won.
I'm pretty sure Shakti was a
You're a bad
Jedi
Jedi.
Master at that time.
Okay, sorry. 2 Jedi Masters and 4 Jedi Knights.
Well, that's a lot different.
What do you mean? What do you mean killing six? What do you mean almost killing 6
Well.
Jedi and only losing because the best ARC troopers in the entire Republic had to come stop you?
Technically, he didn't actually kill one of the Jedi that was left behind. He was still alive. He was just in some kind of coma.
Okay, no, okay. So he killed the first 3, knocked out 2 more, was going to kill. There's no way he didn't kill the last one. It's an objective fact he would have killed the last one and then killed those 6 single-handedly. If he can kill the first 5 while fending off the 6th, he can kill the 6th one on 1v1. Absolutely. But he only lost because the best ARC troopers in the entire Republic with a gunship with prototype experimental weapons come and kick his ass. And even then, he still kills 2 of them and is winning. Or not winning, but like he's in a position where he can pick them off one by one until they call in the gunship. If you're such a Chad, you need to call in a gunship to win. Or they need to call in a gunship to win. You're winning. You're winning.
Right, next topic. What if the CIS had joined the Rebel Alliance?
I'm gonna be
Oh,
real.
this
I know.
bureaucracy,
they would've
bureaucracy would
bodied.
have destroyed that alliance.
What? Oh,
No, actually, they
everybody
would have
spoke.
bodied the Empire.
Okay, I know absolutely nothing about the alliance. So I'm just gonna kind of sit out. All I'm saying is the Empire should have won no matter what. Doesn't matter what they get. The Empire should have won.
Mm,
I think the Empire would still win if the CIS joined the rebellion.
If
Depends
Flutter
what
originated,
CIS though.
yes.
Full power CIS, like no deactivated droids, all ships. Maybe the rebels would win because of 1 trillion droids.
I feel like this implies
Yeah.
though that it's in the same time period as the rebellion in like canon.
I definitely
Well, if
Which
I
would-
definitely think it would have been 20 years after the Empire falls. I think that's fair when the rebellion's first starting, about 20 years after the Republic falls, meaning the CIS systems are taken over by the Empire. They're in control now. They don't have the power generation systems. They don't have the power charging systems. A lot of their ships have been decommissioned and melted down, so it's a very weak CIS. And definitely, full strength CIS bodies the Empire, but it's not going to be a full strength CIS.
Yeah, because it's not anymore at that point in time where they would be allied
able to join
anyway.
the Rebel Alliance. Even if they were day one joining the Rebel Alliance instantly, like right as like the second Padme was like, let's start an alliance. If they joined that day, still wouldn't have made a difference. At that point,
Padme, the dead
wait,
person.
whoever, dude. Like I said, I don't know the originals. They're so bad. I refuse to learn about them. Other than the
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're just
Ooh.
wrong.
crap.
You are.
Oh.
Your opinion has been nullified, man.
Originals suck, and you can't convince me otherwise.
You are not based anymore.
Originals are bad, and
Um,
they're just
no.
bad. It's a bad era.
A bad era?
Honestly,
Oh my
honestly,
god.
honestly,
I'm about ready to fight.
the sequels had a
Seek
better
help.
writing than the
Seek
originals.
Okay,
help.
wait. I'm
Seek
curious.
help.
Wait, I'm
Meet
wait,
me
wait,
IRL. Meet me IRL, killer.
wait,
saying.
I will
wait,
fight you
wait.
I'll
IRL.
fight you in the
Wait.
ring, babe.
wait,
Ring, me and you.
wait, Killer. I have a question.
Yeah,
Me
I'm
and
gonna
you,
give
killer,
ringworms.
now.
Killer.
All right.
wait,
Right. Where you
boys.
at, baby? We'll come.
Calm down, Killer. I have a very important
you.
question.
What's your question, Bear?
Do you believe the sequels are better or worse than the originals? That is a very
Okay.
important question.
Not all of them. I definitely. Okay. No, listen.
Whoa.
Phantom
Wait,
Menace,
wait.
worst movie on God.
Listening. All right. So here's my point. All right. So, the 3 original trilogies, horrible, bad writing. Same with the sequels. I think every sequel movie is bad. I definitely think somehow, in some abysmal way, the 3 trilogy movies of the sequel were better than the 3 originals trilogies. Every other original era movie better than anything the sequels ever released. Original, everything else better. Dude, the original trilogy, they need a remaster. They need a remaster 100%. They need just a true remaster.
So original trilogy is better than sequels, is what you're saying? Just full stop. No.
No.
The original era, no, listen. The original era tops it 1,000%, 20 bajillion% better in every single way. The 3 trilogy movies from the original, 4, 5, 6, somehow less coherent than 7, 8, 9.
You're
Oh,
wrong.
I'm gonna fight. I'm
Wait,
gonna fight.
No.
7, 8, 9 are horrible.
Yeah, I would have to disagree with you wholeheartedly on the
I
writing.
think I'd have to get my dad's Glock 23 on.
You are literally saying that the movies that gave birth to Star Wars, that gave birth to this whole universe,
to us.
you're saying that the Disney movies are better?
Everything with
Just
Luke
because
Hamill
they-
is better than
Just because they're the
everything
first one doesn't mean
in
they're
the
good.
sequels.
Just because they're responsible for launching the universe does not mean that they have to be the best one.
Okay.
Okay,
And
that- that
I'm
is a
not
point.
saying that they're the best.
No. Your
But you're
point.
saying that the Disney ones are better.
Engie, real quick. Your point is like saying, well, Neanderthals were the first humans relevant for pushing all humans, meaning they were smarter and better than us in every single way. They're just better than. We should go back to Neanderthals.
That's not the only reason the originals are better than the sequels, though.
The original era is so much better than the sequel era, and every original movie that isn't those three better than the sequels in every single way. Dude, I would take one original era movie, whether it's Rogue One or any of those, over any sequel movie any day. But the three original movies, dude, they make no sense. The sword fights were bad. The laser fights were bad. The logic is bad.
Okay, well, okay, here's okay. Let me take this.
For their time, they're good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay.
Their time's bad.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Okay, that's why I'm saying they need a good remaster, not one for one, because that's not gonna work. Remaster in a way that's saying like, all right, here are the ideas and the whole plot and everything behind it. Let's remaster it with better ideas, better physics, better things that make sense. Because that would slap, 100%.
Okay, because look, okay, I understand what you're saying. That like a lot of the technicalities of the three original films are not as good, which is understandable because it is dated at this point in time. But what we're saying is that for its time, it was very good and everything, and that compared to its time when it first came out, compared to how the sequels are, the trilogy is better. If you consider the time they were made, especially since the sequel writing makes no damn sense.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's not that time
It is
anymore.
the originals. But okay, exactly. Fallout gets it. It's not that time anymore. I definitely agree. For its time, really good movies. For its time, when they were first released, fucking amazing. Started one of the world's favorite series ever. One of the world's favorite universes, actually. But it's not that time anymore. It's not when it was first released. They can't just be treated as these outdated old movies anymore. It's like, for example, like other things like Warhammer. The first edition of Warhammer, no one looks back on it fondly because it's old, outdated garbage. People look back and like, that was really cool. That started this. But it's old, it's outdated. It got fixed and updated. It brought back to the new eras, the new ideas, the new physics, new everything like that. That's what needs to happen with the originals. That's my argument. I think the originals were good. They just need an update.
I would have to respectfully disagree with that. While certainly yes, but the point of updating and the point of changing is not to go back and change the original. It's to grow and expand on what it's built on. So we don't need to go back and remaster the originals because, like you said, the prequel movies, they expanded on the universe. The Clone Wars, Rogue One, Ahsoka, Rebels, all of that has built upon and expanded upon the original core three: New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. They laid the foundation, and every other piece of Star Wars media is built on it. I think if you try and change that, or if you remaster that, then it's no longer the foundation, it's something different entirely. Maybe that's something that they'll decide to do in the future. But personally, I don't think it's necessary. Yes, the special effects are a little dated. Yes, some of the sword fighting definitely could have used some work. But at the same time, it's still, there is a certain charm to older movies. There's a certain charm to older styles of film and cinema. Not everything's going to be a balls to the walls action flick, and that's okay.
I don't want it to be a balls to the walls action flick. I just want it. I want to love the originals. I really do. I want to love them. I can't because for the foundation of Star Wars, really, I think the Clone Wars, the whole Clone Wars era, would have been better if it wasn't going off of the the shitty basis that was the original series. I definitely think Clone Wars could have been better if it was its own thing. If it was the Clone Wars then the originals, I think both could have been better. I really just think the originals, even for their time, could have been done better, and that's my big issue. They were great for their time, 100%, but it's not their time anymore. They need to. They can't. We can't look back on everything with pure nostalgia. I will look back on it and I will say, for this time, this was amazing. I'm not going to look back on it and say, for the movies we have now, for the really good movies we have now, this was great. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this was bad for new movies. The ideas behind it, great. The things that started, great. The theories into it, great. The amount of love and passion and effort put into it, amazing. The movies themselves, the flaws in the storytelling and logic and fighting and just the very essence of it, the flaws that are running through its core.
Then you must
Not
hate
good.
literally every movie from the 70s and 80s.
Even movies today.
Actually,
there are so many movies today that have so many flaws in logic.
And fun
in
fact,
physics,
I hate them
in
too.
gunfights. Have you ever watched a modern action movie and watched them empty 50 bullets out of a 9-round magazine?
I'm gonna be real. I watch those movies and I point it out to the people I'm watching with. That's why I don't watch movies with people, because I see the inaccuracies and the flaws and the very issues running through the core of it when they're taking it seriously. That's the issue. Like, I just
Okay.
Why scientists aren't
It
allowed
might
to
just
watch
be-
movies.
it might just be the way I enjoy. It might just be the way I enjoy movies, but I just think the originals need to be fixed. Whether it's an update to the movies or whatever, or if it's just adding more to fix the very cracks in it. Like, there's a lot of things that were never explained. Like a lot of things just really need good explanations.
So give an example then. Well, what's an example of something that needs more of an explanation?
Stormtroopers, dude, what were they on? And I get there's the Fours and they're Jedi, but they're just shooting at nothing. They're just shooting into the walls.
They can't see for shit.
Yeah.
That's been a proven fact.
Their helmets
The
are
helmet,
Except
the helmets were cheaply made. The helmets were cheaply made
Except-
because the
except-
Empire,
except for
Imperial arms were
that in-
skirting the bottom
for
line.
the fact that in
Yeah, but they never
other-
tell us that.
except for the
the
facts
movie.
and the other pieces of canon, other pieces, stormtroopers are one of the most deadly militaries ever put together in the history of the Empire, or in the history of the galaxy. They are a super deadly force that managed to put down hundreds of riots and institute their own rule of law across hundreds of thousands of worlds, across thousands of species, across a galaxy of trade and piracy and all these things. Sure, they couldn't conquer the galaxy, but they conquered the inner core and most of the mid-rim. You can't tell me they were a shit fighting force if they could do that, which the Republic couldn't do, the CIS couldn't do.
Well, I mean,
numbers, and they
That-
started
were
with
not
clones.
bad fighters.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I mean the reason for that is because one, yeah, they are significantly worse fighters, and the reason why that they actually, the main reason why they had victories was mainly because of their ridiculous amount of numbers and disposable assets at their disposal that they just kept throwing. That's why they kept winning. Their body counts were ridiculously high, but they just kept throwing more and more men at the problem until it was fixed. That's why they're considered super dangerous, because there's just so many stormtroopers out in the galaxy. And the reason why they already have the inner rim under control is because, after Order 66, the first stormtroopers were all clones. The clones who were converted to stormtroopers, they laid the foundation of what the Empire is 20 plus years later, but then they got phased out by, conscription troops who, can't see for shit throughout their stormtrooper helmets because it's so poorly made. But once the clone troopers were phased out, they already had all the assets they needed to, keep control of the inner rim and then keep expanding throughout the entire galaxy. And so
It went from a fighting force to a keeping force.
Didn't
Oh, also,
didn't,
if
like,
we're
less than 80 shore troopers with canonically similar visibility to stormtroopers take all of Scarif Base back?
no, there was a lot more than just 80. Like that was an entire legion on Scarif. But if we're going by the logic that on the Death Star they were shit shots, look at what happened on the Tantive 5. They slaughtered the Rebel Fleet Marines, absolutely cleared them out hallway by hallway. But yet on the Death Star, the reason they were such shit shots is because Vader ordered them to let them go, because he needed to track down the rebels. He needed to find the
never
main
said
base.
anywhere ever by that has not been guaranteed by anyone ever. If you can show me,
They had a tracker on the ship. They put a tracker on the ship. How would the tracker track down the rebel base if they were all dead?
they could have killed a majority of them, removed the leaders who they knew were the leaders. They knew were the best fighters. They knew were the leaders of the rebel. They could have left one alive to fly back. Kill the majority of the leader. Kill their morals. That's a better idea. That's something Vader would think of. That's something the Emperor would think of. The best strategical minds in the galaxy who instituted their empire in less than 20 years, they would think of that. There is just bad story writing and I definitely think, I agree with you, originals were good for their time, like I said. Things need to be explained, man. People are dumb.
Well, I mean, that's why there's other materials to look through, like the comics and stuff, and like other pieces of things to look at to fill in those holes and stuff. That's why there's the whole expanded universe, to try and like help people understand like why things happened in the original trilogy and stuff. Well, for the sequels, there are so many plot holes that are like never answered or whatever. There's so many plot holes. It's really frustrating looking at the sequels.
The sequel is shit. The sequel is horrible. Dude, the original movies, I can't watch them because every single episode of it, all 3 episodes, is just plot hole after plot hole after plot hole after. Where did this come from? What is this? What is that? What is that? Why are they doing this? What is this? What is that?
Yeah, but at least those actually get plugged up thanks to other material. That's the thing. That's like the beauty of the expanded universe, because because at least you can actually look into it, and then you'll be able to understand like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I can forgive it now because now I understand why this was not, why this happened. I don't like that it wasn't explained, but I like how I know the reason now why after looking at other materials.
Hey, fun fact. Do you know what my argument from the very beginning of this whole conversation was? I think every other content from the original series, or from the original era, actually really good, really amazing. Great pieces of Star Wars content. They fill a lot of holes. The 3 movies themselves, just those 3, not including any other content, not good movies. Not good. You shouldn't have to watch an extra 10 to 20 hours of content and looking through comic books and looking through books and having to spend more money and time to get those to understand movies that are just inherently flawed and explained years later through other sources of media that people generally might not be as interested in. I know people who only watch movies, and I say, well, if you don't get it, you should, read the comics, read the books. They're like, I don't want to read comics, dude. I just want to watch the movies.
I also know a ton of people who just don't give a damn about that sort of thing. They watch a movie to watch a movie. Yeah. They're there to sit back, relax, watch some action, listen to some story, and call it a day. They ain't going to be dissecting it. And also, you can't explain everything in a movie. If movies took their time to explain every single little plot point, fill every single hole in the story, then you would have movies that are 6, 7, 8 hours long.
Yeah, like what the hell is hyperspace?
You can only
you
can only have so much storytelling in one go. So yes, there are going to be holes in plots. That's how it goes when it comes to making a movie. I guarantee, you look at any movie, past or present, there's not a single movie that is completely plot hole free, that doesn't have something that says, wait, where the hell did this go? Where the hell did this go? The hell happened here? The hell happened here? Where did this come from? You're not going to find that anywhere. So, and by saying that, they should have explained more, yes, they could have explained a little bit more. I'll 100% agree with that. There are a few things, but you can't explain everything. And back to Bear's point, additional media exists for a reason. If someone wants to learn more, then they'll go out and find more. But if someone's just sitting there casually enjoying the movie, then they just casually enjoy the movie. No need to constantly dig at plot holes.
We're literally saying that we're both agreeing. We're saying the same thing. Why are we fighting?
Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars
We should
movie.
tier list all the Star Wars movies.
Dude,
Rogue One is great. Rogue One is great.
Let me see.
I will agree with you there, Fault.
Let me see if there's an all Star Wars movie.
Tier maker, yeah. And then we can tally up our opinions.
I agree with you, Fault. Rogue One is probably one of my favorite pieces of Disney Star Wars media, like on the movie side of the house.
K2SO is just like K2SO and Cassian Andor are my 2 favorite characters in all of Star Wars, basically.
It's a Star Wars buddy cop duo, and it is great.
That's why I liked Andor so much.
Andor was good. I enjoyed
character.
Andor. It's a good show. I think what I liked about both Rogue One and the original trilogy, I think what I really like about it is it's just like discounting. Well, no, even Luke, because he's just a farm boy before he became a Jedi, and even then through the original trilogy, he's still kind of just bumbling his way through it. It's just people. It's not grand armies, it's not wise orders of monks, it's just people rising up against tyranny, resisting, and trying to put some semblance of order back into their lives and into the lives of those around them. So I think in the end, that's what speaks to a lot of the people about the original trilogy and the original trilogy media, because it's very relatable. It's the same thing humans have done for centuries upon centuries. rising up in the face of injustice, rising up in the face of tyranny, pushing back, pushing forward, trying to better ourselves and better each other and better the world around us. So I think that's where the original trilogy's message really shines through for me, and that's why I really like that piece of media.
Yeah, no, that's
So
completely
Tearmaker,
valid.
huh?
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, sorry. All right,
Oh,
that's to be
God.
fair. After that, I have found a tier list. I put it in podcast. I say we go one at a time. We stream it. We make it. I say one at a time. Everyone, and we just get mad at each other for our bad opinions. All right, that
Oh,
fair?
there's a lot.
For bad opinions.
Oh, I haven't even watched some of this.
Yeah, I
All right,
haven't.
I'm gonna-
This includes the shows too, so just leave out the shows.
No, include the show.
I'm gonna rate. I'll do the shows I've watched.
Yeah. Hey,
I'll do
all
the
stuff
shows
you
I
watched,
watched.
though.
Wait, so are we doing this now or just for another episode?
No, we're doing this now, so make sure you click on Killer
Are
Stream.
we doing it now, or are we doing it for another?
No,
I'll leave it up to
so-
you, Bear, because
Why in your tags does it say the Monster Girl? Why in your tabs does it say Monster Girl Encyclopedia Killer?
Listen, don't listen.
What?
All right,
Oh
listen.
my god.
Trick and Aurelian and other people can attest to this. I was just looking it up because of a Stellaris mod we had on earlier. Okay.
Right. Okay. No. Okay. I honestly believe. Okay. No. I honestly believe that the tier list would be better for another episode because.
You better bring me back
Yeah.
for that episode, though. You better bring me back for that.
I most likely will.
Agreed.
I most likely
Alright.
Same
will.
here.
That down so you
I
don't
can
forget.
save it.
Sometime.
I can save it for like episode 5 then, I guess, and everything
Alright.
because I love the idea. However, I want
I
it.
think we have time.
Yeah. I want everybody to have the time to build their own list beforehand, and then one by one we all go over everybody's list.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
You know,
So that way we
that's
can-
a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so that way
I'm
we
okay
can.
with, I'm alright
Yeah,
with
so that way we can really go into depth into why each one of us think so and so is better than the other one, and everything, instead of just like doing like a impromptu type thing right now, especially since like we we have like a little bit less than an hour left and stuff.
that. Yeah. I completely agree. I'm alright with that. As long as you bring me back so I can crap on you for your horrible opinions.
Yeah, as if I have horrible opinions, right? Yeah, sure.
Imagine if we got the Mall trilogy.
Oh, that
Oh
would have
god,
been
that
so
would have been
much better.
amazing.
That would have been. I would love that. I would love that so much. Oh my goodness.
The whole crime syndicate plot line would have been amazing.
Yeah, no,
A
especially
lot better than what we got.
Yeah, no, especially since I feel like we like still don't get enough content of like the criminal underworld. I know like there are some arcs and like there are some content that does sort of delve into that, but I feel like there's just not enough of it. I would just absolutely love to learn more about how the criminal underworld works in Star Wars, both like in the Outer Rim, which we do see plenty of and stuff with like the Hutt clans and everything and stuff, but I'm also interested in like more of the other type the crime in the interim and stuff like that, like organized crime and stuff like that, because there's still plenty of that in the interim and stuff that I feel like we don't really see as much, and I think it'd be super interesting to see that, especially like in the Clone Wars era. I feel like that'd be really interesting.
But what I want to get is like movies and TV shows and stuff from perspective of the clear villain in the Star Wars like franchise. Like I want movies about like what it's like to be I want like a TV show about like being a stormtrooper or something like that, because I feel like there's a lot of like potentially very interesting content that's missing by virtue of them not attempting to do that.
Yes. No,
You're right.
I definitely agree
Except
with that.
except what it should be is an 8-episode series about the mind of a super tactical droid.
That would be amazing, actually.
That might be cool, yeah.
Yeah, that
Because
would be
remember,
interesting.
droids they were so poorly made that they started like the protocols in them that stopped them from like actually thinking past the war started breaking down. So there was super tactical droids who were genuinely conscious and weren't being held back for the protocols anymore. Like I want a story about that. Like I want
From,
like a super protocol droid, like eight 8-episode series about a super protocol droid who has completely broken free from his programming, but is still having to pretend to just be under the control of the CIA, so he isn't just replaced.
That
So,
exists.
like
He
General
forgets
Kalani?
that his penis
That exists. They
exists.
spent like one episode on it though in the Bad Batch, and like never brought him up ever again.
Kalani?
Yeah.
General Kalani for
Yeah.
Rebels?
Yeah.
I'd watch a whole, like, I'd watch like a mini series with him as kind of like the focal point. That would be interesting to see.
It definitely would be. Actually, and
They
another
won't do
thing,
it.
another thing that I would also like to see would be either movies or a TV show, preferably a TV show maybe, of just the history of the Old Republic and the wars that were cited there, because there's so much storylines and content from that time, and the way that the world works was so vastly different. I feel like it would be so interesting to actually see that on screen instead of, like, you know, just playing the two games that take place during that era.
And maybe like the time after the Rusan reform too.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. I feel like
I'd almost.
Mhm.
Oh no, you first, Bear.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, seeing all that, whether as movies or TV shows, preferably a TV show, because I feel like they would cover more content in that way, would be amazing. Be so cool. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Engie?
I would almost think that kind of what you're suggesting, like a general overview, rather than focusing on like Revan or Bastila Shan or a specific timeline within like Old Republic era. I think almost what would be kind of cool is to have like a in-universe kind of mockumentary style series,
Oh,
like
okay.
a series on like the Galactic HoloNet or something, like
Mhm.
history of the Old Republic, history of the High Republic. I think it would be really interesting to see a mini series kind of done in that style. I think that style would be perfect for presenting that kind of like
That type of content.
that kind of
way-
information. Yeah.
Right, so we can see everything instead of just specific people and stuff, because that would be a little too narrow and such like a much grander pool of content, because like that, because that whole era, that's such a long timeline, and so there's so many things that happen, there's so many characters to keep track of, you know.
hmm
And so yeah, I definitely see what you mean, and yeah, I could see that working in that capacity more effectively. I totally agree.
Thanks for tuning in to the 41st MTP or Media Team podcast. I have not been your host, Killer, and Falt's the other pretty based one here. And then the other were hosts, Hog, Engie, and Bear. And thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in to episode 3.